Welcome back to Star Wars Sublight and to the Sublight After Show for Ahsoka Part 7, Dreams and Madness. This episode somehow managed to slow things down while ramping up the action, and it set the table for what looks to be an amazing conclusion to this journey that has taken us beyond the known galaxy. Let's dive into a quick recap and review of the episode before pointing out 8 details which caught my eye in Part 7. Directed by Geeta Vasant Patel, this 46-minute episode starts to bring everyone together and propel us toward an explosive confrontation with Grand Admiral Thrawn on Peridea. We see Hera face the consequences of breaking from the New Republic fleet to help her friends over Cetos, but with the help of C-3PO, an emissary for General Leia Organa, she manages to fly another day.
Yes, well.
Ahsoka arrives in the distant galaxy after hitching a ride inside a space whale, but they exit hyperspace inside a minefield, one laid out by Grand Admiral Thrawn after the Great Mothers warned of Ahsoka's approach in Part 6. Ahsoka trades the minefield for a boneyard before heading toward the surface of Peridea to be reunited with her Jedi Padawan Sabine Wren. On the ground, Sabine and Ezra are located by mercenary duo Baylan and Shin. Shin calls it in and Baylan parts ways with his apprentice in search of greater power.
And take your place in the coming empire.
Shin takes a band of raiders to attack Ezra's caravan while Ahsoka confronts Baylan before Thrawn's night troopers crash the party. In the end, Thrawn's forces are no match for 3 Force wielders, okay, maybe 2.5, and they make their retreat. Thrawn reveals that this was not defeat but rather a distraction, one to allow his forces time to load up the contents of the Peridian catacombs into the Chimera.
Which means we shall soon leave this forsaken place.
Finally, Ahsoka offers Shin a choice.
I can help you.
This episode was fun, fulfilling, and full of action. It didn't have the shocking moments of the previous few episodes, but it serves as a good opportunity to move everything into place ahead of the finale in Part 8.
I know you can do this, Ahsoka.
Now let's take a look at 8 details that you may have missed in Ahsoka Part 7, Dreams and Madness. When Ahsoka is training aboard her T6 shuttle on the way to Peridea, she plays old holo recordings of her master to guide her through her session. She tells Professor Hu Yang that Anakin made more than 20 recordings just like it, and she files the datacard away in this box when she's done. That means that Anakin's teachings could be passed on to a new generation of Jedi Knights, or even to Luke as he starts to rebuild the Jedi Order.
So much like your father.
I think it's really interesting that Anakin and Luke together could have a hand in the next generation of Jedi Knights, 2 Skywalkers fixing the mistakes of one. The New Republic courtroom in Ahsoka Part 7 looks like how the Senate chamber is first described in what is now the Star Wars Legends timeline back in 1991. The first appearance of the Senate building, or even of Coruscant for that matter, was not during Episode 1 The Phantom Menace. No, it was actually 8 years prior to that, during the first Thrawn trilogy written by Timothy Zahn. In this trilogy, the Senate chamber is described as being round, intimate, and using earthy tones. It mentions benches made of wood, and I was reminded heavily of that place while watching Hera get a dressing down from the New Republic Defense Council in Part 7. This area stood out to me because that original description was such a far cry from the gigantic, soulless chamber that we're so familiar with, and I would love to see the concept art and talk about the inspiration behind the courtroom for the New Republic. In Ahsoka Part 7, Leia uses an old trick to help a friend in trouble with the New Republic.
I object in the strongest terms.
During Hera's official hearing with the Defense Council, Leia intervenes to get her ally off the hook. And it's an old move that worked for her when she did the same for her husband Han Solo about 8 years earlier. That's a story told within the pages of Last Shot, a novel written by Daniel Jose Older. The story revolves around Han Solo and Lando Calrissian undertaking a dangerous mission to retrieve the Phalanx Redux transmitter, a piece of technology with the potential to change the future of the galaxy. This mission was strictly off the books, and when Han is captured and questioned by New Republican forces, Leia delivers a message. She lies and tells them that Han, Lando, and his crew were on a top secret mission for the New Republic, and that their accuser does not have the clearance to hear the details. That's almost exactly what plays out in Hera's hearing. She's facing some serious penalties, but Leia's able to cover for Hera in saying that this was a covert mission sanctioned by her on a need-to-know basis. Ahsoka Part 7 is officially set after the events of The Mandalorian Season 3. Ranger of the New Republic Carson Teva interjects when the threat of a resurgent empire is dismissed.
What about the conflict on Mandalore?
Teva mentions that Moff Gideon is one such member of the Imperial Remnant and that the threat of a resurgent empire is real. Gideon has been portrayed to the New Republic as a lone actor, without further support from any Imperial network. But we've seen evidence of an Imperial Shadow Council pulling the strings from behind the scenes during The Mandalorian Season 3. What's most interesting about this short conversation is that the timeline of the Ahsoka series has now gone beyond The Mandalorian Season 3 finale. And after all that happened on Mandalore, the New Republic still refuses to believe that the threat of Thrawn is a reality. That is everyone except for Mon Mothma.
How real is the threat of Thrawn's return?
Ahsoka Part 7 makes a very brief mention of where one vital member of the old Ghost crew is during the events of the series. While Sabine catches Ezra up on the state of the galaxy, she mentions that Zeb Orrelios is off training New Republic recruits, which would explain why he's not on this mission with her. It would seem that most of the Ghost crew just got on with their lives following the liberation of Lothal, the disappearance of Ezra, and the fall of the Emperor. Everyone except for Sabine, that is.
That's what I did to defeat Thrawn.
Ever wondered what space whales eat? Ahsoka Part 7 shows us what could be the Purrgil's main meal while surfing the hyperspace lanes. If space whales make sense, then so does space krill, seen here snacking on the bones of long-dead Purrgil in some sort of cosmic irony. But this small detail also explains why there aren't just rings and rings of Purrgil carcasses out there above Peridia. That's because these krill have been picking over the bones of their largest predator. Ahsoka Part 7 takes inspiration from some of the greatest Star Wars and borrows a line from The Empire Strikes Back.
It's like poetry, sort of, they rhyme.
While navigating the space whale boneyard, Professor Hu Yang can be heard repeating a warning to his pilot.
We're going to get pulverized if we stay out here much longer.
That warning is what Leia says to Han as they brave an asteroid field during their escape from the Empire.
We're going to get pulverized if we stay out here much longer.
And much like successfully navigating an asteroid field, I'd say the odds of surviving a ride through the Purrgil boneyard
That is approximately 3,720 to 1!
Never tell me the odds.
Morgan definitely knows the best place to find dirt on a Jedi. In Ahsoka Part 7, Morgan Elsbeth returns from the archives with information on Ahsoka Tano. She presents Thrawn with Tano's file, pulled from the Inquisitorial database. It's a small detail, but one that makes a whole lot of sense.
Hello.
The Inquisitors would be the foremost authority on Jedi knowledge after the events of Order 66, Operation Nightfall, and the eradication of the Jedi from the public record. Remember, we're now 30 years removed from the fall of the Jedi Order, and 10 years from Tarkin's famous line about their extinction.
The Jedi are extinct. Their fire has gone out of the universe. You, my friend, are all that's left of their religion.
By the way, if you like looking into details like this, then you might like to join us on the reg here at Star Wars Sublight, where overanalyzing the galaxy is our speciality. You'd be amazed at what you miss while traveling at light speed, so why not come out of hyperspace to explore the finer details of the galaxy far, far away? That's what this channel is all about. So sub to Sublight today and join the ranks of Star Wars fans looking to learn a little bit more about each entry to the saga together. Here's a tiny detail that isn't at all that special, but I managed to translate the Aurebesh on the doors of those Imperial dropships. It translates to load point. It's nothing amazing, but caught my eye when I saw it, so there you go, load point. Finally, let's select our most valuable player for Ahsoka Part 7, and it's a tough one when most of the characters involved have a moment to shine like they did in this episode. So perhaps it should go instead to the Naughty Rebels for the fierce defense of their home and friends. The Naughty are those little crustaceans that Ezra's been living with. He says that they are a peaceful people, but when the Raiders and the Empire come to eliminate Sabine and Ezra, these little nomads make improvised weapons and even attempt to crush a hound and rider between their houses. These Naughty have true rebel spirit, and standing up to an enemy much greater than them is what makes this tribe the MVP of Ahsoka Part 7. What would you rate Ahsoka Part 7, Dreams and Madness? What do you think will happen in Ahsoka's final episode? Let me know by commenting below so we can discuss it together. Sub to Sublight, leave a like if you learned something new, and remember, whether you're in this galaxy or the next, the Force will be with you, always.